I'm joined today by the newest first-time winner on the PDC Tour, Ryan Searle. Ryan, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
And thank you for joining us. And for starting off, congrats on winning your first PDC ranking title at the weekend. It's now been a few days on since that win on Saturday, but how does it feel to be a winner on the main PDC Tour?
Thank you very much. It's not quite sunk in yet. I got back to my hotel room on Saturday, and I don't know if you follow Matt Edgar on Twitter, but he was putting different things on my bed, like love hearts and chocolates and all sorts of silly things after I was winning each game. And just went to sleep that night. Woke up in the night, and I thought, did that actually happen, or was I dreaming? I wasn't sure. I was like, just wasn't sure if it happened or not. But it's crazy. It just hasn't sunk in yet.
Well, hopefully it sinks in soon, but let's talk a little bit more about that day. You were trailing Gerwyn Price 4-1 in the very first round, but then reeled off 5 wins in a row to win 6-4. How much confidence did you take from that, coming back like that against one of the top 3 players in the world?
Yeah, I think that's what made the day, really. It was a good game. I mean, to start with, he was hammering me. He wasn't missing anything at all, scoring really heavy. And then all of a sudden he started dipping a little bit. I don't know whether he thought the game was over or what, but he was missing a few doubles. Like he would have 72 left, and he'd hit the treble 16 and missed 2 at double 12 and let me in, and I was just kept taking out the finishes. And then I broke to go 5-4 up, and then I won the match from 11 dart on my throw. So the confidence came from that one, really.
Now, after that, you beat 2 more Premier League players, Michael Smith and Glenn Durrant, as well as Jeffrey Deswan on the way to the final. How were you feeling, though, about your chances going against the world number 1, Michael Bangor, ahead of the final?
I just felt like I had nothing to lose, really. I mean, I think for him, he's been in so many finals, and I was thinking it might be hard for him to get up for a final against someone like me, who he probably thinks he's just going to beat. So, I had nothing to lose and just went in with confidence.
And it showed in the early legs as you raced into a 3-0 lead, but Michael came back, hit a superb 164 to get back into the match, but you held yourself together to get over the line 8-6. What were the emotions like after that tops went in and you'd won the title?
I mean, that hurt when he hit that 164. But I'd played him the week before in a board final, and it was 2-1 on throw. I hit a 171 to leave double 4, and he took out a 1 again. But I just sort of learned from that and didn't let it affect me as much. And I was just happy that double top went in first dart, really, right in the middle. Otherwise, I don't know if I was chasing the doubles around the board. I don't know if I'd hit it. So. I was just relieved it went in first dart, really.
I'm glad this time the 171 setup shot actually helped you out. But we'll come back to this year in a moment. We had you on the show in our very first season, summer of 2017, which was your first year on the main tour. Fast forward, in the end of 2018, you make a final, which leads to your debut at the World Championships. What was that experience like playing at Ali Pali for the first time a couple years ago now?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, there's nothing like the crowd at Ali Pali. It's so loud. I've played at venues bigger with more, with the crowd bigger as well, and the volume doesn't compare to Ali Pali. And when you play all season, that's what you work towards the end. That's the main goal, is just to qualify for Ali Pali. So I ended up sneaking in that year. So I was lucky to even get there.
Well, you did get there, and you kicked on from there for a while, and you spent much of last year looking like you might qualify for the World Matchplay. How hard was it, though, to miss out by the narrowest of margins for that?
Yeah, I don't know what the margin was in the end, but that's all I could think about the last sort of 4 or 5 events leading up to the match play is, just try and do well, try and stay where you are, because I was quite comfortably in for a little while. and then I started dropping off, and I was trying too hard to stay in there. So hopefully now with this win, that'll put me in a decent position for this year, and just got to hopefully make it a bit more comfortable when it comes to the cut-off point.
So you mentioned you tried a little bit too hard, and you've been a player who in the last few years has been a streaky player at times. You've had some great runs, obviously this past weekend, was really the entire start to the season, but you mentioned, of course, that leading up to it where you were struggling. What do you think it's just the pressure of all of the events trying to qualify for all those, or what is it that leads to some of these good runs and bad runs mixed in?
I think the whole match play thing that is like one of my main goals, is the match play. I think that's the hardest tournament to qualify for. And I was put myself in a great position, and I just let the pressure of that get to me, really. And as far as like the on and off play goes, I have no idea, really. I think I've seen you put on Twitter about taking 6 months off and then playing for 6 months, stuff like that, and that's kind of true. I don't know why. Hopefully this season I'm going to sort that out. This season, this World Championship was the first time I've played with my contact lenses in. I think they've helped me out a little bit. There was a couple times at the Worlds this year where I've had to ask about stupid things that I've gone for. Well, especially the treble 18 against Steve West, when I didn't realise that was in either. But I've got different contact lenses from then, and they seem to be working. So that's certainly helping me out.
Well, that answers one of our questions about seeing. So let's talk about the World Championship since you mentioned it, and that was another great couple of weeks for you. Mentioned that second round match against Steve West, averaged 101. Where does that rank for you among your best performances?
Yeah, I think that's my first televised 100 average. But like I said in my interview after that, I didn't feel that good. So yeah, I just feel like I got more to come.
Well, so let's see what's to come then. You had about 6-7 weeks after the World Championships before the new season started. How did you spend that time away from competition? Did you take much time off? Were you practicing? Were you playing local comps?
No, I was just practicing. No, I don't really play many local comps. Some people moan if I turn up saying, why is he here? He doesn't need the money and all this rubbish, So I don't bother with that anymore so much. So yeah, just practicing in my man cave at the bottom of the garden, and I'm kind of surprised I've started the season as well as I have, because it normally takes a little while to get a bit of match sharpness back. So yeah, just over the moon with how it started. I felt going into the season that I was going to be there or thereabouts with winning a Players' Championship event. So for it to happen so early, I'm over the moon about it.
So you mentioned that got that title out of the way. So what's now the next target? What's now the next goal for you now that you have a title in the bag?
What killed me last season with qualifying for the match play is the European Tour events. I mean, I only qualified for 2 European Tour events the whole of last season. I've never qualified for more than 2 in a season, and that's not good enough, really. And the last 2 seasons I've played pretty decent on the European Tour, so this season is just to qualify for as many European Tour events as possible. I'm not a huge fan of being away as much, which that would bring from my family, but if I want to progress in my career, that's what I need to do.
You do a good job answering my questions that I'm about to ask as well, because I was going to ask one about the European Tour. So I'll finish off with that anyway. No problems. It's just you're reading our minds ahead of time. So you mentioned the European Tour, and you're, of course, qualified for the next one in Belgium next week. And as you said, it's your first appearance since I think last May. How excited are you to be going to that event? And is it? I guess we'll also ask, since you mentioned qualifying's become a priority, is there anything you're planning to take differently about those qualifiers to get to more of them?
Yeah, I'm massively looking forward to the European Tour event in Belgium. It's just, it's just like a TV event, so the more experience you get of playing in that sort of environment, it can only help you out, because I'm not hugely experienced with that. And going back to the World Champs this year, I think that showed against Gary Anderson when I was 3-1 up, and I think the break came at the wrong time, because I went backstage at 3-1 up and I was thinking, oh my God, I'm 3-1 up against Gary Anderson. He's been my darting hero since, I was younger, watching before I even started playing properly. And that affected me. So as far as preparing for all the qualifiers, I just feel like I'm a more solid player now. So I think, it will just sort of work itself out, hopefully.
Well, we wish you the best. We hope it does work out for you. Congrats again on the title, and thank you for joining us this week.
Thank you very much. Thank you.